been looking at the book of Revelation at the end of the Bible, the end of the New Testament, and looking today at Revelation chapter 3, the beginning of chapter 3, and it's the letter that goes to the church at Sardis. And there's a very interesting statement right at the beginning of this, and it says, "These are the words of the one who holds the seven spirits of God, the seven stars. I know all your ways, that though you have a name for being alive, you are dead. Wake up and put some strength into what is left, which must otherwise die." In some versions it says, "Wake up and strengthen what remains." And there are times when we perhaps convince ourselves that we're fully alive, fully awake, and then we come to realise that we're not as strong, not as alive, not as healthy as we should be. You know, when people go and do a long run, a marathon or a 10k or something like that, and they haven't built themselves up, they suddenly realise that their strength is not as good as they thought it was. We can think we're reasonably fit, and then we have to run for the bus and discover that's not quite true. And I think from a very serious point of view, Jesus is saying you need to perhaps be aware of the strength that you will need. Be aware of where you're really at. Don't be deceived. I put myself on the scales the other day, and I've been excusing myself really for a while about chocolate and stuff, and then the weight and the weight that the scales were showing brought me back to a bit of reality. You know, you need to face up to some things, and it's exactly the same for our own spiritual state. And very importantly, Jesus says, "If you do not wake up, I shall come upon you like a thief, and you will not know the moment of my coming." And so he's saying that his return will be sudden and swift. We need to be in a place of readiness. We see the parable of the 10 virgins that Jesus talks about towards the end of Matthew, and he recognises the need for readiness, and that's what this letter's pointing us towards as well. And he's showing that there's reward for those who are ready, those who are prepared. Yet you have a few persons in Sardis who have not polluted their clothing. They shall walk with me in white, for so they deserve. He who is victorious shall thus be robed all in white. His name I will never strike off the roll of the living. For in the presence of my Father and his angels I will acknowledge him as mine. It was said to David, King David, about being in the bundle of the living, and God preserved him, but later on he compromised and perhaps took some things for granted very much. So it's important for us to remain in a good place with God, and also to recognise we want to be in that number of people. We want to be in that place of being among the living, not among the dead. We want to be people who are clothed in white. We want to walk in the ways that Jesus wants for us. We want to be people who are strong and persevere, that like a candle we don't sort of suddenly go out quickly, but that we manage to burn, we keep burning brightly, and we have oil in our lamp. So the parable of the 10 virgins talks about having enough oil to keep going through the night. My prayer today is that we would be on fire for Jesus, that we would be burning for him, that we will be pure, and will be ready for all that's to come, but ready also in our hearts for awaiting Jesus, for awaiting his return, for being prepared in our lives, and remaining pure, remaining in a place of readiness for Jesus to come back.